The market's going to change. It's going to, I think, economically, if we see some improvements in, certainly in the bond markets and certainly the interest rates and, the Fed, comes around and we see it they feel compelled to drop some of the rates. I think that'll be great. The other thing is accessing inventory because now what's happening and the dealers are finding that they're having to go to other sources other than the auction to buy used cars because of the price. And so they're basically setting up inventory purchasing uh, setups in their stores.
They're
'Cause,
buying them off the street.
buying them off the street. So they're doing what um, CarMax, Carvana. I mean, Carvana, 75% of their inventory came from private owners. And so, you look at their bottom line and the amount of money that they're making, the dealers who are succeeding right now, they're having to do private acquisitions and or going to the old well, the service drive to acquire vehicles to sell.
Yep.
Customer comes in and, they got $500 worth of work that needs to be done on that car. That should be an easy switch. Hey, when I show you,
Yep.
introduce you to a new car salesperson, maybe we can get you out of this one, lower your note, and we'll go ahead and take care of that $500 repair. Now I got
Yep.
a
And
car that I
the
can
old
put in.
saw, the old saw, hey, we're really looking for a trade-in like yours, which was usually
Yeah.
just, now let's sell this guy a new car and we'll auction off that piece he's driving. Now that's actually the truth when they tell somebody that.
Look, anything that has four wheels or more, they're looking. And the best place to get a vehicle is from your service customers or have a setup where, you are literally on the phone dialing for dollars. I mean, that's how real estate people get their leads and acquire inventory to market and sell. Uh, the dealerships and the dealer groups that have adopted that philosophy over the last few years, they haven't had any shortage of iron to sell. It's more used or pre-owned, but if you're a dealership, you've got to have front end sales. Service carries the load in a lot of ways, and if you got a body shop and parts, but you've got to have some sort of a mechanism to generate that income on the front end.
Yeah, because wholesale used car prices are generally on a downward trend, since COVID's been over. But the thing is, it would be like saying, uh, Cheech and Chong are on a downward trend as far as how much THC are in their systems because they just roll down the windows on the Impala for a couple minutes and let a little bit of fresh air in. I mean, the used car prices were extremely high
Yeah.
before. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. They've
super.
come down to a little bit different level, but again, when you're looking at a vehicle that, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, sold for three, five, 10 grand over, that individual is going to keep it a little longer unless they're going to get some way to get out of it.
So
Uh,
that still pinches the market. Yep,
correct.
exactly.
Correct. Now let's talk a
But
little bit here. Yeah. Let's pivot a little bit to the electric vehicle market. Um, electric vehicles seem to be, as far as on the pre-owned side, extremely affordable because the market got flooded when some of the rental car companies, dropped a lot of their inventory.
yeah, what happened
Because
was Hertz went into EVs huge. Uh, I mean, our office production manager uh, went to Florida on vacation, and they basically pushed an EV on him
Mhm.
at the airport. And oh, she had a horrible time when she was coming back because the old bring the tank full or we're going to charge you. Well, in this case, it was, can I make it back to the airport? I mean,
Yeah.
she was showing zero range, and again, does a rental make sense as an EV? I mean,
Mhm.
your typical original EV purchaser it was a third or fourth car. It was a person who owned a private home, a single dwelling home with a garage where a 220-volt charger could be professionally installed. They could plug it in overnight. But someone on vacation does not have a garage. They're going to a hotel. I mean, if a hotel has charging stations at all, how many charging stations do they have? And uh, a harried vacation dweller with a 3-year-old and a husband dragging around Florida, are they going to be able to park in the proper place to plug it in at night and charge it when they're at the hotel, or will the spots already be taken, or will they not
Hmm.
even remember to do it when they get back after a hard day of beating off Mickey Mouse's advances and getting scared by the guy with no nose or whatever it is. And so, and I guess Hertz found out. And so, yeah, what was it? A year ago, 2 years ago?
Last summer.
Yeah, last summer they dumped them. They because even if they were able to push someone into one, they had a dissatisfied customer that's never going to rent from them again because they had a
Yeah,
vehicle that they couldn't refuel
yeah,
basically. They
yeah.
were trying to get to the airport to make their flight, and they didn't know if the vehicle's going to make it.
Well, the one thing about them dumping all that inventory, it made the acquisition cost on the used side a lot lower. Okay. Because a lot of those vehicles, some of them were, Tesla Model 3s. And I know there's a used car lot close to my home where there's probably 50 of them on a lot. Um, they were still eligible last summer, and they may still be on some of the EV credits. So you could buy a used, Model 3, let's say, for under, 20 grand with the
Oh,
incentive. And
and
so,
plus they
and
must have
so,
very low miles too.
yeah,
So
well, even so, because, they took pennies on a dollar just to dump them. And what it did was it dropped the value across everybody's Model 3s. I know my son dumped his a year and a half ago, and that was right before they had a price adjustment from the manufacturer. Everybody remembers when they cut the price substantially on the vehicles.
I think it
And
was 7 to 10,000, depending on which exact
exactly,
model.
and exactly. So
But
when
they
you
all
look,
have been doing that.
yeah,
And some of the claims are that the technology is maturing, and so we can lower the price. But
yeah,
some of
but
it is these vehicles have been mandated. We've dumped billions into developing things like the Mach-E, things like the Hummer EV, and the anything from that to Neros and whatever. And
yeah.
so at a certain point, uh, the prices all came down, and
Yeah.
the prices of all the internal combustion vehicles has definitely not gone down; it's gone up. And so
Yeah,
you
but the
have a
demand for the ICE vehicles
separation of
has
the gut.
increased.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, the politics of the electric vehicles, either you're for them or against them, as far as, but there's a practical side to the vehicles. There are some consumers that just absolutely love them. They fit their lifestyle.
Yep.
Where I
And
think
as
the
a certain
pushback,
niche
yeah, yeah, well,
producing a
and there
certain
always
amount of
is.
vehicles,
Yeah, there always is.
producing a certain amount of electric vehicles uh, would work. Like for instance, sports car. Let's say anything. A Subaru WRX. Subaru WRX in 2002 was a hot ticket. And, all the kids wanted one. Heck, some of the middle-aged guys wanted one.
Like
And
you,
so,
right?
yeah, exactly. So you had this little pocket rocket thing.
Right.
And as a niche from Subaru, selling a certain number of WRXs, it was great. Dealerships made good money on them. People were happy with them. But then what happened was the industry looked at that and says, "Oh, we should make one of those." And suddenly you have all kinds of pretenders popping up. You had the Lancer Evo, some argument, whether that came first or not, and you had everything. Cobalt SS turbos. You had Ford Focus RS, Ford Focus ST. Ford made two different hot rockets. They made the Focus and they made the Fiesta. And so suddenly, when a market gets saturated, and now of course you have almost none. I mean, the WRX sells very few models because the market got saturated and people got tired of it. You could buy
Yeah.
them anywhere and everywhere.